Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mike here, and I just want to talk about some of the common mistakes that I see photographers making with their pictures. I'm guilty of these mistakes too in the past, and I really think it's very easy to correct. It's a matter of 5 to 15 minutes extra time put into your photo, especially if you're trying to sell your pictures on Fine Art America or some other similar site. You want to put your best quality out there, so I think it's really important to just go through these steps and make sure you're doing them. So let's get into it. First and foremost, to get the best editing control over your photos, please shoot in RAW instead of JPEG. RAW photos allow you to easily adjust your white balance, give you the highest quality images, makes it easier to adjust your photos if you're underexposed or overexposed, and you get to enjoy non-destructive editing to your photos. So any editing you do to your RAW photo is not permanent, and you can change it over and over again, even in the future, or whenever you get a chance to revisit that image, you could give it a whole new look at any time. So definitely shoot in RAW. I highly recommend it. It takes up a little more space, but you could always get an external hard drive and save your RAW files on that. So stick with RAW. Next, I'm going to go over a couple images that I picked out that have a lot of the problems that I see out there, and they're really easy to fix. So let's just go over a few things to hopefully better your photography and just take it to the next level. Right off the bat in this picture, you can see the white balance is off. And to fix that, I'm just going to start with auto and see where that puts me. That looks pretty good. I would probably make it a hair warmer, but it's really subjective at that point. My biggest goal was making this look more natural, and we've done that. It doesn't have a blue hue to it like it was previously, and we're good to go right there. So that's one problem I notice with photographers is they might not address their white balance. Now, I just want to say that with night photography, I noticed that the auto tends to make it very, very hot. So certain photos are going to be a little trickier. You might have to play with the sliders a little bit, but auto is usually a good starting point. All right, now going down the list, I'm not going to get into all of this since that's kind of basically getting into editing the photo. I just want to address the major problems that are very easy to fix. So let's go down until we get to sharpening. Now, when you shoot in RAW and you import your photos, it automatically puts it at 25. And to me, that's a little on the soft side. So if I zoom in here, this is 1:1. Let's go even further. So it's a hair soft. I usually bump this up into the 60-70 range, but again, I'm zoomed in 3 times the amount, so I don't need to go crazy with the sharpening. A lot of people over sharpen, and what happens is you start to degrade the quality of the image. And you see here you get noise is added, and it definitely, when you go to print that, especially if you print it really big, you're going to notice all these artifacts from over sharpening. So keep it reasonable. Again, I'm put that around 70. If I zoom out 1:1, that looks sharp. I'm good with that. A lot of people too, if their photo is slightly out of focus, they think they could fix it by over sharpening, and you're really just making that photo a lot worse. If anything, just shrink the photo down to a size that's usable, and just be sparing with the sharpening. Now going down the list to a few other issues I see photographers making is chromatic aberrations. Let me zoom in here. Now, chromatic aberrations or lens fringing tends to happen with tree branches and pillars, stuff that has a high contrast and usually very thin, like thin lines. There's a button right here called Remove Chromatic Aberration, and usually it works great. Like, look at that. It's super cleaned up already. You could further adjust it more if you had to, but 9 times out of 10, just clicking that button does a huge difference. And I hate when I see photos for sale that have just terrible lens fringing around leaves and trees, and you know, you don't want to sell that to your clients. You want to give them the best quality that you can. So definitely zoom in on all your pictures and check for everything. And while I'm zoomed in, this was shot at f22, so I got so many dust spots, and this is going to be a little more tedious, but I have the software to fix it. Whether you're using Lightroom or Photoshop, they make spot removal tools, so use them. I still come across pictures today with just huge dots on them, you know, huge dust spots, and it's like it basically, it shouldn't happen. You know, there's no need for it. If you want people to respect your work, you got to put a little bit of time and effort into it and remove the dust spots. And people are going to be more inclined to buy your work if it's clean. So that's another thing to take care of. And now I'm also going to go over to Profile and just click this button. Let me zoom out. Now what that button does, here, I'll do that, is it helps with the vignetting, and it also helps straightening your horizon, because sometimes your lens might have you know, it might have a little bit of distortion to it. So this helps get rid of that distortion. So that's another button that you should always check off to all your photos. Now if you want to bring back some distortion or adjust it, you could, you know, move this slider right here. You could also bring back some of the, you know, some of the vignetting as well. And as you can tell, my horizon is slightly crooked, so I'm going to go to the crop tool and select a level. You take the level, you run that across the horizon, and that should straighten everything out for you. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to jump over to another photo. Now this is an HDR picture that I took, just to kind of show you what I see happening with people that are new to photography. They love HDR, and I love HDR in certain circumstances, especially if you're trying to balance out you know, a bright sky and a dark foreground. But this is what I consider an over-processed HDR, or even, you know, if it wasn't an HDR, this is definitely an over-processed image. And basically people take the sliders and they bump the vibrance all the way up, they bump the saturation all the way up, and the clarity all the way up, and it's really destroying the image. If I zoom into this, you're gonna have dust spots and noise, and then the sharpness is just ruined. You know, I would not want to sell this picture. If you want that surreal look and that HDR look, try dialing it back a little bit more natural. Here's another version I did of that, just to kind of show you that I could push it, but I kept it within reason. And I mean, even this is a little too much for my taste, but if you like that look, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all subjective. However, you can see here, the sky's not as damaged as this sky. This is all haloed out. The blue is gone, and it's just overdone. So I highly recommend less is more. You know, there's nothing wrong with going for a painting, that painter look to your, you know, to your picture, but just try not to overdo it. Try and keep it clean, and you know, you'll sell more pictures that way. So those are the key things that I see photographers doing and making mistakes with, and that includes me. I've been there, I've done that, and now I try and make a habit of going through those key things and correcting them right off the bat before I even do any other processing to the image. And once you make it a habit, it's second nature. You just go through the motions and you get it done, and then you take your photo and do the editing to it that you need to do. And I'm telling you, your quality is going to be 10 times better, and you're going to, you know, start to impress people a lot more, and hopefully sell some more pictures that way. Good luck. If there's any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks. Bye.